So, the Houston Rockets have the 4th pick in the 2023 NBA draft. And, well, I guess it's slightly disappointing, especially when the grand prize was Victor Wembanyama. But at the end of the day, it could be worse. Like, look at Detroit. I know they have the 5th pick, but the 4th and 5th pick really do have a lot of difference in value. But what if I told you there was a scenario where the Houston Rockets could still land someone like Scoot Henderson? You're probably thinking, how is that possible? Well, I'm about to tell you in a minute, but before I get into that, please like the video, share, subscribe, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. So before I even continue about how they could potentially get Scoot, they're in a position where they could pick someone else, trade this pick, and still get immense value and a solid player in return. Now, let me start off with the initial scenario about how they could land a Scoot Henderson. So, realistically speaking, I'd say if the Rockets were to have the 4th pick, which they did, the teams above them were probably in the most perfect order in order for a player to fall. What do I mean by that? Well, forget the Spurs at 1, we know they're taking Wemby. At 2, the Charlotte Hornets are likely going to take Brandon Miller because LaMelo Ball is a point guard, a ball-dominant guy, facilitator, similar to Scoot Henderson. So they're likely going to take someone like Brandon Miller at 2. Then, if you look at the team with the 3rd overall pick, the Portland Trail Blazers, well, in their backcourt, they currently have Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, who's a shooting guard /3 who showed a lot of promise. So they don't really have any incentive to keep that pick, especially when Damian Lillard came out and said he doesn't have time to watch any more younger players develop. And Woj reported that unless the Portland Trail Blazers get the 1st overall pick, they'll be very open to shopping that pick. So what does this mean for Houston? Well, the Portland Trail Blazers kind of hold the key to this because they could either trade their pick completely or pick a small forward like an Alistair Thompson, which could leave Scoot Henderson to drop down to 4. Now, you could say I'm being very optimistic, but I feel like this is a very, very likely scenario, or possible scenario, I should say, to happen, because realistically speaking, when you're shopping a pick, the offers you might get might not be of the value you expected, and they may be kind of lackluster, so you might think, okay, let's just take a prospect instead. And I feel like Scoot Henderson is the last player they're going to take because fit-wise it doesn't make any sense, and if you're trying to appease Damian Lillard, Scoot Henderson isn't necessarily the pick. Now, what I will say is, if you're not able to either trade up for Scoot Henderson, or if he doesn't fall to you at 4, which I believe is has a decent chance of happening, I don't see the point in keeping the pick, because realistically speaking, the drop-off from 3 to 4 is insane, because I feel like Scoot Henderson has a real chance of being the best or even second best player in this draft alongside of Wembanyama. It could potentially be a Zion Williamson, Ja Morant situation. I'm not saying Wemby's going to get injured, but 7'5" with that frame, who knows? But I feel like Scoot Henderson's going to be a real stud. And the fact that 2 teams might pass on him is going to be insane. So I feel like that's a real generational talent you have the opportunity to potentially select. Alongside the issues of you not being able to have a facilitator, Scoot Henderson is that. Now, you might be able to land James Harden in free agency, but you know, after what we saw in Game 7, is he who you really want to be banking your future on? Of course, it'd be a nice addition, a welcome addition, but still, if you can get Scoot Henderson, you do it 100% of the time. And the reason why I suggest this is, realistically speaking, the 4th pick is a weird one, because what kind of value can you get? So realistically, if you're trying to contend or compete for a playing spot, which what the Rockets are trying to do, are you going to be able to get a star player in return? Now, I'll talk about the possibilities of that later on in this video, but immediate-wise, I feel like Scoot Henderson is the guy. And if Scoot isn't there, that's when we go into full-on, and you can't trade up for Scoot, sorry. That's where you go into full-on with shopping the pick, because I have nothing wrong with Cam Whitmore, Alistair Thompson, but I just don't feel like they move the needle enough for you to keep that pick. I feel like you can get more value elsewhere, which can help the team instantly, especially someone like Alistair Thompson. His jump shot is way too suspect, in my opinion, and guys might not like it. I would compare him a lot to Jarrett Culver, great athlete, but do I feel like he will translate to the NBA level? Potentially not. So he's someone who I'm a bit skeptical on. Now, one thing you might want to look at is, you know, there's been rumors about Pascal Siakam. Now, I'm not one of them guys that's going to say, trade Jalen Green for Pascal. No, we're not doing that, okay? It's not happening. But a player like Pascal Siakam, or of that caliber, will be someone the Rockets should be looking at, because realistically, the Toronto Raptors are 50-50 in what direction they want to go in. Pascal is a free agent in a year's time, so you're not going to get as much for him, but at the same time, the Raptors will still expect a decent package. So if you put forward I don't know, let's say the 4th overall pick, 1 or 2 extra future first round picks which could be protected alongside someone like Kevin Porter Jr. I love KPJ, but if you're trying to elevate to that next level, getting someone like Siakam is going to be important. So you could field an offer like that and kind of gauge the market, what kind of teams are interested in that kind of pick, and see what's available. I'm not saying I do that trade. I'm giving an example of the type of things the Rockets should be willing to explore. I feel like KPJ has a ton of upside, and you really want to get to that position where you want to develop your young core. But realistically speaking, this isn't a league of sentiment. The time is ticking, the clock is ticking, because next year the OKC Thunder have the Rockets pick top 4 protected. The year after they have their pick unprotected, and I believe the year after that they might have their pick again protect. I can't remember, but the Thunder have 3 more Rockets picks in the future. And you don't want to be in a position where you're just handing them three ping pong balls, So you want to be in a situation where you're ready to contend, ready to compete, and you're knocking in on the playing doors very soon. That's why Ime Udoka is here. So realistically speaking, there's a lot of avenues they need to explore. So just to summarize this video, essentially, I think that they could get Scoot Henderson at 4. He could fall to 4 due to the circumstances of the draft and the guys picking ahead of you. However, if he doesn't fall to 4, I think there should be an opportunity where you should try to talk to Portland if he's still available at 3, which I think he will be, to try and trade up for that pick. And if that's not possible, where you can't acquire Scoot, he doesn't fall to you at 4, and you can't trade up for him, you've got to trade the pick, because the guys available then, I don't see much value in Alistair Thompson. It's too much for a risk in my opinion. So it's either you trade that pick for a star plus more if that is possible, or you trade down in the draft where you could potentially gain more draft capital to the point where you have more draft ammo to potentially throw at a team when the star becomes available 2, 3, 4 months down the line. So there's a lot of avenues you can go at. At the end of the day, the 4th pick, it would have been nice if it was the 1st or 2nd pick, but at the same time, the Rockets are in a very solid position to be in. I wouldn't cry about it. I'm not too angry about it, but it'll be interesting to see what type of direction Rafael Stone wants to go in. But that's all I really got for this video right here. Let me know in the comment section down below what you want to see the Houston Rockets do, whether you want them to trade the pick, who you want them to select. I don't really know. I want to hear you guys' opinions in the comment section down below. But that's all I got for this video. Stay blessed, my people, and I'm out. Peace.